imperfect information. We live in a world where we try and make sense of the information that we have. And when we do that, we introduce bias. We introduce things which, like our mind plays games with us. And what I'm going to do is talk you through some of the different areas where we can introduce bias in general into our testing world, and give you some insights into that. First of all, at the back, can you hear me? Do I need a microphone? Strong enough? Good enough. Okay. Right. I don't know if you like to use mics, but there you go. So, you know, a while back, I did a presentation, and as a gift for doing the presentation, somebody gave me a book, which I thought was nice. It was a book about economics. I thought, okay. And I went on holiday shortly afterwards, and I took the book with me. I thought to myself, okay, I make myself wise on economics. And it was by a professor. The professor was a guy called Daniel Kahneman. And he started talking about bias, cognitive bias. Actually, he was trying to research why managers and why people make decisions that they do. In particular, the ones that led to the economic crash in the US that caused worldwide problems. And I started to read this book, and after a while, you know, like the penny dropped. You know, I became aware that what he was talking about also applies to our lives as testers, or test managers, or whatever we are doing in testing. And I started to read and making notes and carrying on, and I thought, I ought to tell other people about this. And that's why I'm standing here doing this. Because that could be significant. It might be interesting for you. I'm going to add my own experience to what Mr. Kahneman actually said. His book is called Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. Great title. If you've ever read it, good for you. If not, I don't get any share of the book sales, but I recommend the book. Okay? Maybe when you're sitting on the train one day. So, it's about how the mind works. He analysed how the mind works. And he actually detected that there are two parts of our mind, what he calls System 1 and System 2. Ooh, that sounds a bit complicated. I'll give you an example of what System 1 and System 2 are. In the book it goes for about 100 pages on this, so it's sort of like 3 slides and you're done. System 1 and System 2. System 1 is our intuition. System 1 takes quick decisions, intuition. System 2 is like a controller and says, whoa, let's think carefully about this. Now, give you an example of System 1. It's automatic. It's kind of gives people a sense of danger. It's an ability to react really quickly to things. It's fast, it's efficient, but it's based very much on feelings and emotions. Now, a little experiment, a little game for you. This is System 1 in practice, the first of these two. Complete the first 2 of these after me. I'll shout them out. Efficient. This works in England.
Chips.
Thank you, fish and chips. 2 plus 2 is?
4.
Great, got that bit. We love fish and chips in England, so if I do this in England, everybody shouts, chips! Okay. Now, you didn't have to think about that, did you? You just said it. You didn't have to work out, oh, I've got 1, 2, and then I've got another 1, 2. That makes, you know, you didn't. You said it because you know it. That's system 1 in action, making comparisons. This is closer to me than this. Recognizing anger in a voice. Don't do that. Don't do that. Different. It triggered you in your mind. Oh, anger. I need to respond to that. There was no analysis, it was automatic. This doesn't feel right. Do you ever get that feeling? This does not feel right. And a great example is comes from a story in the US where there was a fire in a building, and a fire team went into the building, and the leader of the team said, "Get out of the building now." And he didn't know why he said that, but shortly afterwards the building collapsed and saved basically the whole team's lives. And afterwards he couldn't explain why he had said that. It was just his instinct, it was his feeling. This doesn't feel right. Now we get this in many situations in our lives. Now let's turn over to system 2. This is our logical thinker. Evaluates things. Takes a longer look. For example, filling out a complicated form. Do you do that here? We do in Germany. It's famous for its bureaucracy. But I guess you have the same as well. Checking complex things, working things through. And system 2 can overrule system 1. Remember, system 1 is saying, do this. System 2 will say, I'm going to think about this. You know? So all of the things that we're going to talk about relate to the interaction and the balance between system 1 and system 2. And unfortunately, these two systems can play tricks on us and lead us to taking wrong decisions. Bias. We'll look at some of those. Oh, I have to give you an example of system 2 in action. Does it ever happen to you that somebody gives you a present that you don't like? Now, in England, we have like Christmas time, you know, and it's like your favourite auntie knits you a jumper. You know? Knits you a nice jumper. It's Christmas time. It's probably got a picture of a reindeer on the front or something like this, you know, and you think, your system 1 says, oh no. You know? Your system 2 says, watch out. This is your favourite auntie. She's knitted this jumper. She's done a lot of work. She's looking for a response from you. She'll be offended. Maybe this is typically English, I don't know. But we end up, after about thinking for about 2 or 3 seconds, we end up by saying, oh, great! I always wanted one of those. So that's system 1 and system 2. System 2, balancing out the intuition to say, oh God, take this away, you know? So that's how they balance out. Now I'm going to...
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
So, you know, it's funny because I always think of testing as an art and a science.
Right.
And I couldn't help but think maybe your system 1, the heuristic kind of automatic, is more art, right? That's how you feel about it.
It could be. It's certainly emotional.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm wondering in testing oftentimes, you know, there's an art to it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's more of the system 1 in play.
Certainly.
And then the science side is more the analytic analysis.
Perfect. Do you know, I'm going to put that into the presentation because that's a very good way of thinking about it. It's much more, yeah, it's one is esoteric almost. It's sort of like my feeling for things. And the other's sensible. Different people have slightly different strengths. Okay, so some people are very impulsive. You know those, I guess. Some people are very considerate. But you cannot say that Some people don't have a System 1, and some people don't have. We all have this. And this isn't an English or a German or American thing or a Malaysian thing. We all have this. Don't try and deny it. You do. Okay? So, good thought, Robin. Yeah. Art and sort of science. Yeah. So, here are some of the things that I wrote down that might be interesting for you relating to sources of cognitive bias. There's 9 things, and we'll start with trusting our intuition. Good. Intuition is not a bad thing, as we saw with the example from the fire brigade. When we have a problem to solve, our System 1 mostly immediately comes in and gives us a solution straight away like that. This can be good. I'll give you an example of where that can be good. Have you ever seen, anybody play chess? Do you know the game? Have you ever seen really good chess players playing against others? It's like you get all of these people in it, you are all grandmasters of chess. And I'm the super grandmaster. And I come along and we play a game, each, let's say 40 different games. And I come along, you've got your game set up, and I go, okay, come along to you, I go to you, that. I go around, and then they sit and think, oh my God, how did he get that? And then I come back to you, you've thought in the meantime, and so it goes on. That chess master is using nothing but his System 1. He can see the picture in his mind, and he's responding mostly intuitively to what's happening. That's good if you have the experience to do it. The problem comes when we don't. So what happens if we don't have that experience? Unfortunately, crazy cutting these letters off. Unfortunately, what happens is we're unable to say, I don't know, or I can't do this. What actually happens is, instead of analysing situations that we don't know about, we let our System 1 take over. We have a go. We fill in the gaps. We fill in what's called substitution. And substitution is is common. And I was doing some judging the other day, where people were asked questions about what they would do. And I was seeing substitution in action all the time. What it means is, if you are faced with a complex problem that you need to solve, and you can't solve it, then you substitute a problem that you can solve. Okay? It's a recognised thing that we do. So, I can't solve this problem. But I can solve that. Calculate the ROI of testing for this project. Ooh, really difficult. But I can calculate the ROI of this little bit here. I'll do that. And I'll answer that question. You're not answering the question, you're substituting. Now, we may be unaware that we're doing this, and usually we are unaware of this. So, it happens. Now, here's an example of where it can happen in your testing area. Maybe you're hiring somebody, you're a test manager. You're sitting there and you've got to evaluate people, one after the next after the next. And maybe you see a guy come along, and you've got to choose between tester A and B. You've got a whole long criteria list. It's complicated. The people have got different experience levels. You're evaluating all this in a short time. What do? You say, oh no, I can't do all of this. I tell you what, do I like him or him or her? Do I like them? Do they look good? No, I mean, not attractive, but do I feel, looking at them, that they could do the job? Which, by the way, is the reason why many presidents of countries look the part, you know, but that's another story.